Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
What's up, everybody? This is Big Herc with Prison Talk, and I want to say thank you for tuning in to another great episode. Also, make sure you subscribe to our Instagram and to our Twitter, which is FreshOutSeries. And if you have any questions or if you have a product you would like us to endorse, hit us up at FreshOutSeries@gmail.com. Also, check out our website, which is www.FreshOutSeries.com. I had a question from one of our viewers. They said, "What's your opinion on Ted Bundy? He escaped from prison twice, and Charles Manson, he says he's not in prison, but prison's in your mind. Do you think they don't care that they were in prison, or what are your take on these guys?" Well, I've never really dealt with a guy as far as a serial killer at this level, but I have run across guys who have multiple bodies on their cases. And, when you talk to the guy, they seem pretty normal to a degree. But as you kind of get deeper in the conversation, you realize that there's something different about these individuals, where life maybe has no value. And for the guys I ran across who were, had big cases that were maybe drug related or something similar to that had, bodies on their cases. I don't know the particulars, if these guys were, involved in the murders firsthand or were associated, to what degree they were associated with it, because I don't ask a lot of questions like that. I had a lot of respect from a lot of people, so a lot of people conversated with me because of my intellect, so I was able to basically socialize in a lot of circles. But I did take what I heard from these people or exchanged with them and reflected on it so that I could try to rationalize their situations and better deal with my situation. And a couple of the guys that had a lot of time, we used to talk about like mentally where you were at while you were in prison, and used to talk about meditating and taking yourself out of the walls so that you can cope with the insanity inside the walls. Because to be in prison and to survive, you have to become somewhat inhuman. It's an inhuman environment, and it's not human to be locked in a cage that's smaller than your bathroom with another man, and to be just put in a situation where there's elevated testosterone, there's a lot of animosity, and then you have an overseer who a lot of times is trying to enforce a mental punishment in addition to a physical punishment. Squat and cough, lift your nutsack up, spread your butt cheeks. They can do this at any given time if they want to fuck with you. This is what they do: grab on your nutsack, grab on your asshole. It's humiliating. And when you are, this is done to you repetitiously, you have to really detach, man, or else you go crazy. You want to take off on these fools. I've had, guards call me, hey, and I act like I didn't hear him. And did you hear me talking to you? You didn't hear me calling you? I'm like, my name ain't Hey. You call me Marcus Timmons, or you call me Mr. Timmons, or whatever, but I'm not hey, and I'm not no fucking number. But that's what they want you to be reduced to, as a number. So going back to these two guys, Ted Bundy, as far as mentally not being in prison, for his situation, for the type of person he was, for the heinous shit he did, he was probably, he was a sick individual. So he probably wasn't in prison, because his mind, even when he was on the street, he wasn't really on the streets. He was in some type of dreamland, where what he did was it was right in his mind, and that's how he rationalized it. And that's how a lot of these people probably rationalize, what they do to some degree, and how they're able to continue to do it. But once you really sit back, you got a lot of these, psychologists who go in there and try to study these guys and try to understand why they do what they do. But when you live with these people and you just see the little things they do, as far as the body language, as far as just how they mask a lot of their idiosyncrasies, you realize that, man, you really hit a living hell. You've hit a living hell because, there's people like you would never know, but when you actually talk to them, these people can make what they see be right. I never justified to try to say, hey, robbing a bank was right. I never said that, what I did was something I would advocate to another individual. I knew what I was doing was wrong. I knew there was a potential to get caught, potential to get shot, the potential to do time, the potential for people to get hurt, potential for myself to get hurt. And I threw it all out the window because I was, rationalizing, well, fuck, I get this money. I can take this money and invest it. I can flip it. I can make it, turn it into something else if I can get away. And it didn't work out like that. Some people do get away, some people have gotten away and gotten caught later on down the line. But, the bottom line is trying to make sense of it all. And so mentally, even when I was in prison, I tried to keep myself out of prison. I didn't embrace prison culture. I didn't sit around and play chess all day. I didn't sit around and play cards all day. I didn't sit around and watch TV all day. I really tried to stimulate my mind, and that's what kept me sane. And so, it's a little bit different because, like I said, I wasn't in there, feeling sorry for myself, but at the same time, I accepted the punishment I was given. I didn't think I deserved as much time, but whether or not that's, whatever they based the time on, according to whatever the statutes are, I had to do what I had to do, but I never stopped fighting. Even though I knew I committed the bank robbery, I knew I ran up in the bank, I still researched my case, and I still was looking for ways out because I wasn't comfortable in there. I didn't like prison, and I didn't really, it's not something that I wanted to ever like, So, the mental part is probably the most challenging. Physically, in prison, you have a lot of people, big people, strong people, people who, are capable of doing a lot of bodily harm. But it's the people with the minds who are really the most dangerous because they're thinkers. You can outthink a motherfucker who's a buffoon. You can outthink a guy who's, you see him coming, a guy who just gets up, goes to work every day, comes back, because he's caught up in just the program. I never allow myself to get caught up in the program. So that's the difference. But as far as just my opinion on serial murders, I really have no opinion as far as what their mental state is, and I can't see justifying what they've done in any way. And if these motherfuckers, they need their wig split. I mean, a motherfucker who goes around doing that, and I'm glad I didn't ever get caught up in my case with anybody actually getting killed or anything like that, because I would hate to have to live with that. But as far as these guys, serial murders, who are doing this heinous shit, they did anything like that to my family. As far as a victim of the family, I would say fucking peel their cap. Ain't no get back. If you know that for sure they did it, then they deserve what they got coming to them. And that's my whole take on that situation.